Hi, it's Jonathan again, and we're going to go through a quick start guide here. So we have Replay Director installed, and we have our Eclipse up here. You recall we brought up this view by going into the Show View Other and looking at the Analyzer view, opening that guy up. You see up here we have two new buttons. These are actually mirror copies of the Run and the Debug buttons. These are Record and Record Debug. Anything that you launch from up here, normally you can launch from here. These are actually mirror copies. If you actually install the sample workspace from the installation guide, then previous video, then you'll be able to actually launch the sample application here from Replay. Okay, so what this is now doing is asking me to connect up to a Replay server. If you have a Replay server installed, this is where you enter the credentials for that. I'm just going to skip that for now, as this is the quick start guide, but normally I would put that information in there and it would connect up to the Replay Director server and actually upload the recording that I'm currently making to that central repository, the Replay Director server, where it would be shared with other members of my team, and other members could download this recording. So this guy is now firing up. The first time that you launch the application server, it is going to take a couple of seconds to instrument all the code. And now this guy has started up, and so I'm going to open up my web browser here, and we will go through, So here I am now in my web application, and this is the sample application that was installed along with the installer that we ran a moment ago. And so we can click through this guy and actually look at exposing an issue. Here's a typical example. If you highlight or select something from the types menu and click refresh, this application actually has a bug, and it'll sign out of this guy. And now we've got that captured. So let's go back to Eclipse, and I'll go to my servers tab and actually close or shut down the server, let him close down. And if I go to my analyzer view now, we see we have a new recording. And so this recording here has been stored locally and is available, and we can see it's showing me some CPU and memory charts. I can select different regions here, and these red dots are indicating critical events. These could be error log messages, fatal log messages, exceptions, something of interest that occurred. So up here you can click and drag the different sections of your recording. This is a timeline starting from when the recording started to when it ended. I can zoom in and zoom out of here as well. The graph below is going to highlight the different event types, and we'll get to that in just a second. So if I go ahead and double click on this recording, it's going to show me a summary of all of the events and the data that was captured as part of this recording. And it's going to show me first of all how many events exist in the recording and how many we've actually collected at this point in time. We can see that we've got a lot of events that are in there that we haven't actually collected yet. The secondary graph is now showing me where critical events have occurred. These are events that have a priority of 1 or 2, such as a fatal log message or an exception from my Java package, as opposed to the container. And I can drill down into any of these and have a look. So let's do that. I'll open up the all events, and we can sort by priority. I'm going to go ahead and actually turn off exceptions in this filter by clicking the filter button, and I'll turn off exceptions. And now that gives me a slightly cleaner view here. Let's actually select a bigger region, and we can see that we actually had a fatal log message. As I click through these events, you can see where these events actually occurred in the timeline. You can see this red caret here with the line showing me where this particular selected event occurred. And I can select through these and have a look. Now, at any point, I can actually set breakpoints on these. These are live Eclipse breakpoints. It'll let me jump back to the source code. I can also zone in and try to drill down to a specific region by zooming in. This button here is going to link the two views together and let me look at exactly what occurred in the region that's currently selected, and I can select from down here as well if I want to see what occurred. I'll scroll over, we can see this is where these correspond to. If I click this synchronize button, then the timeline shown on the top graph is going to match the timeline shown on the bottom graph. So let's go ahead and look at some of these events. I can sort on these different events and see exactly where different things occurred. Here's this fatal log message. I have my HTTP transactions. You can double click on any of these events and it will show you the details of that event. You can search for different text, for example, unhandled, and it will filter down to just show you events that match the text that you enter. And you can specify a time region here as well. You can see that as I modify this time region, it's changing the selected region at the top of our graph here. Okay. So as I select this and drag it around, we can see I can select at the top and actually slide the window back and forth. Let's actually throw a breakpoint on one of these, and I'll turn off exceptions here. I'll throw a breakpoint on this log message, and I'll click replay. Now you can replay either by right-clicking and doing replay to this event, or you can click the replay button up here in this analyzer view. And now that is actually replaying my application. It's running the code. It's going to run me back to this exact line of code where this log message in this case was output. And I haven't run Eclipse before. This is the fresh install, so it's going to ask me if I want to flip over the debug perspective, which I do. And now I can see here's my fail log message, and this is live, right? I have all my threads running. I can pop up the stack. Let's step through some code here. This is all live. So I'll stop that guy. The other thing to show in this Quickstart guide is how to amplify. So we know that something interesting happened in this region. What I can do is now with that region selected, tighten up the region a little bit, I'm going to click amplify. And now this is going to pop open a dialog, and I'm going to just leave the defaults on here and click OK. And this is now replaying the application again, but extracting a much deeper data set. It's getting all my log messages down to debug, all my database calls, all of my exceptions. It's getting all this information for that selected region. You can see the grayed out area up here represents the region that we've collected events for. And now you can see we have these level 5 or debug level logs. I also have all my database information. I can see the database calls that were made. And once again, if I sort based on priority again, I can, or excuse me, based on timestamp, I can see, well, what was going on around that fatal log message. So we got some console messages, DB call, and if I turn on exceptions so we can see what exceptions occurred and scroll back to that area, we can see that we had an SQL exception right before this fatal log message. And I can set a breakpoint on that as well and replay to this fatal log, or excuse me, fatal exception that actually threw an error on the screen for my end user, which was a bad thing. So let's fire up replay again. We'll run back to that point, and we will see that problem actually occur again. And there it is. There's the throw. So I'm actually throwing this exception as a result of a database call. I can go to the catch location as well with the previous SQL exception event, and we'll see where that occurred. But here we're throwing this one again. The throw actually, the original throw occurred within this execute query statement, which also was an event that I could break on. So there's my bug. I'm going to stop that, and let's walk through a couple of the other features here. So we talked about selections, and that's going to update your list of events down here. You can drill down on any individual events as well. And let's talk about some of the other options that this is now added. So under Window Preferences, we now have a Replay Director tab or item, and we can, from here, actually select and add different RDSs or Replay Director servers. So you can configure that and manipulate it from within Eclipse. You can also do it from outside of Eclipse as well. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close this guy down. The other thing that you have is if you open up the record or the launch configurations from the record or the record debug view, you'll see there's a new replay tab here. Here you can actually add different options to the command line for replay. You shouldn't need to make any modifications there, but this is the new tab that is added. Just launching anything from here is going to start your recording for you automatically, and you'll see that show up in the analyzer view, which we saw earlier. And I want to show you quickly how you start this from the command line. So I'm going to go to my sample application, which was installed under the bundled directory in the Replay Solutions bundled directory by default. And here we have Tomcat installed. Now normally I would start Tomcat with the startup.bat command. Well, with Replay I just used the record command. So if you type record on the command line, you'll see it's just a script, or actually a little utility that will add replay to the command line of your JVM. So whatever you use to start up your application from the command line, pass that into the record command, and that will start recording the application on the command line. Once again, I'm going to skip this for now, and that's going to start this up. So I'm now recording this application, and I'm going to pause there, and that is our quick start guide. I think I've run you through the major features of the beta. Okay, thanks so much.